What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Smash JT. What would you say if I told you that the makers of Cuphead, Studio MDHR, were working on a Zelda title? Okay, they're not, but they did allude to it during a recent interview, and just the idea of this thing coming to fruition is kind of mind-blowing. In an upcoming issue of Nintendo Force being published on June 23rd, it features an interview with the heads of Studio MDHR, the developers of Cuphead. They talk about the potential of working on a new Legend of Zelda game in the style of Cuphead, the hand-drawn art, and my imagination just started going wild when I heard this. It's something that nobody could have ever imagined in a million years leading up to this. But a little thing called Cadence of Hyrule came out, and that's an indie developer originally working on a game called The Crypt of the Necrodancer, and formed an alliance with Nintendo, being allowed to use the property of Link, of Zelda, and combine it with one of their properties, and it became magical. It was something that nobody could have ever imagined coming to fruition. Now that that's happened, a lot of people are starting to wonder what Nintendo is going to do next with their properties. Breath of the Wild 2 is in production. Nintendo announced that. They're obviously working on games like Metroid Prime 4, and who knows what else behind closed doors, still waiting on Pikmin 4. But there are a lot of intellectual properties that Nintendo has, and the internal teams, they work really hard on making their games. So hard that it takes a very long time for them to come out. Nintendo has realized this, and they have started to allow other developers, indie developers, to work on games involving their properties. And if you look at the two top-selling games on the Switch eShop right now, it's Cadence of Hyrule and Cuphead. Just imagine if Legend of Zelda came together with Cuphead creators. What kind of world that would look like, how they would make the game. I'm imagining it would be something along the lines of maybe a remake of the original Legend of Zelda 2 on the NES in the style of Cuphead. It kinda works if you think about it. We've already seen FDG Entertainment bring Monster Boy into the modern era and allowing a palette swap between the original version and the new age and how it swaps between the two. Not saying that Cuphead's creator MDHR would do that with Zelda, but just thinking that is a direction they could go with it. Personally, I'd prefer them to make an entirely unique Zelda title if they ever had the possibility to do so, but honestly at this point, like I said, my mind is just running wild with these ideas, and I had to make a video to get it out there because it's exciting stuff. In this era that we live in right now with Nintendo allowing other companies to use their properties, it's just a matter of time before the next game comes out from someone who's not Nintendo and it gets announced. And honestly, if it were me, I'd like Cuphead working on Zelda. In their interview with Nintendo Force, they said they have big plans if they were allowed to work with Zelda, like a sprawling Zelda title brought to life in a dotting 2D hand-animated style. Think of all the expressiveness and life you could bring to the tribes, people, and enemies of a universe that rich. And much like Cuphead, we would get to test our design metal coming up with screen-filling bosses of an entirely different nature. Of course, backgrounds would be completely hand-painted and nothing reused. The list just goes on and on. It would be an absolute dream come true. So Nintendo, if you're listening, which I'd like to think you are, because Studio MDHR used to just be with Microsoft on the Xbox, now Cuphead is on the Switch, makes me think there could be more games coming to the Switch. Maybe some original ones, maybe some joint ventures that you guys do together. And if you were like this with Cadence of Hyrule, why wouldn't you let another developer, someone who's proven themselves already with a fantastic title like Cuphead, to be able to work on a Zelda title? Even if it's in conjunction with the development of Breath of the Wild 2, it's not going to impede sales on that. I'm sure a ton of people would get both of these games, and just the idea of it is mind-blowing to the fanboy inside of me. As for right now, it's just a dream. Nothing official has taken place, but knowing that Studio MDHR developers are on board with the idea of doing this completely changes everything. Seeing how Nintendo worked with Cadence of Hyrule and seeing how an established developer wants to do this, just kind of sounds like a match made in heaven, and I don't see anybody complaining about it if it were to happen. But until it happens, it's just a dream. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video right there, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about this potential opportunity for Studio MDHR to work on a Zelda title. If they were to get the IP from Nintendo and work on one, what kind of Zelda game would you want to see out of them? Or are there other Nintendo IPs that you'd rather be worked on by indie companies right now? There's tons of potential in this new era of gaming that honestly, the kid in me could never imagine coming to fruition that are taking place right now. So, we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.